The last few weeks have been absolutely crazy. Like one of those periods where you just feel overwhelmed 50, 60, 70% of the time. You don't know how you're going to cope with it all. And so I wanted to just hit pause, record a video, because having just been through this period of time, I think there's a unique perspective that I hope that I can bring to you if you're experiencing something similar or you're in one of those seasons perhaps. Now, I give out advice quite frequently to clients who sit in front of me and they say, Andrew, I've had a period just like the one that I've just described. And so we tend to look at how we can optimize their time and how we can free them up, things that they're doing currently that they shouldn't be doing, how they can delegate and outsource and make this manageable. But it feels very, very different when you're in it. And so I'm so glad that I have just been through this, because it's so important that I'm able to speak to you guys from a position of experience, right? And so, look, let me explain the situation. Let me tell you what's just happened in my business journey and my family life. And then I can tell you about some of the things that have just really helped me through this 3-week period, right? So this all kicked off a couple of weeks ago with basically a big piece of news that we received as a family, which is very good, very exciting. I'm not going to tell you too much about it now. I'm going to tell you about it in the future, right? Shortly after, my wife was at the gym and her knee basically collapsed. And I cannot tell you how much pain she's been in. She's been, she's okay now. She's recuperating. She's getting better. But she was in bed for a number of days in excruciating pain. At the same time she became ill, my son, who is like 3.5 years old, also became ill. And so he wasn't sleeping, which means, and you'll know this if you're a parent, we weren't sleeping either, waking up feeling like basically we hadn't been to bed, which coincided with kind of a really exciting period in my business. Now, if you're just meeting me for the first time, in the last 6 months, I've launched Monday School, which is faith-based business coaching for Christian entrepreneurs, because I believe that we experience some pretty unique challenges. And there's been a lot of hard work that's gone into this project. I'm very, very excited about it. It's been absolutely awesome. And in the last few weeks, it's really kind of kicked off, being able to onboard some more clients, which I'm so thankful to the Lord for. And so it's kind of hitting this level where all of a sudden I have all these client sessions going on, I'm doing group coaching, I'm trying to keep the content creation going because that's a big part of my mission and how I can reach more people. I've got my YouTube channel and I'm devote my Fridays to scripting and recording content for this channel. And it just feels like there's so much to do just with that project, right? And all of a sudden, we're not sleeping. My wife's in bed. She's not very well. My son's not very well. I'm taking over all of the childcare. And it just feels like, when you go and see a psychologist and they tell you that kind of analogy of the fact that like you have a limited amount of capacity in your life. They describe it as a bucket. And with every new thing you experience, this bucket is filling up until finally it starts overflowing, right? That's how it's felt. It's felt pretty overwhelming, to say the least, right? And so my initial reaction was just to run as hard as I possibly could. And I'll be completely honest, there were things that went out of the window, right? I've developed a really strong devotional rhythm in my life, which has been absolutely fundamental in helping me to mature in my faith. And that went out of the window in week 1 of 2 in this period that I'm describing here, right? My time for reading my Bible is in the morning. I read my Bible like 7 to 7:30, maybe sometimes 7 to 8 if I'm feeling like I'm really getting into it. And that time just didn't feel like it was available. And I didn't know how to replace it. And so it went out of the window. I wasn't praying. I wasn't in the Word. And having relied on that so heavily over the last couple of years, that certainly didn't help. I felt completely out of whack, and that was the principal reason why, right? Because when we abide in Him, we have that peace that transcends all understanding. It gives us that foundation that we need. Our house is built on the solid rock, and I just didn't have that over that week, right? Now, things weren't calming down, and I decided that, okay, I'm busy. I advise people on this stuff, and so I should really think intentionally about it, and I should really look to get this right. And so I reintroduced my devotional rhythm. I was better at organising my schedule so that I wasn't booking in meetings too early. I still had time to seek the Lord with my first fruits of my day, and that helped enormously. There's a quote by Martin Luther, and actually a client of mine, I can't take credit for bringing this up, a client of mine who shared it in one of our group sessions, which says that I'm so busy today, therefore I'll spend the first 3 hours in prayer. Now, I don't know about you, but 3 hours, I don't think it's ever been realistic for me, whether I'm busy or not. However, certainly we can prioritize the Lord and we can place the Lord first. And so that was something that has helped me tremendously. I just wanted to comment on it from the place of like, I know how it feels when things are so busy and how challenging that can be, but it is possible. Now, if it's not clear, I've kind of jumped into doing it already, but what my hope is here is that I can just share a few ideas about the way that I coped through this few week period. The first of which was getting back to those devotional rhythms, even though this period of time has felt extremely busy and extremely challenging, right? So that's the first thing. I'm not saying that it's easy, but it's so important for us to do. Even if it's not, going deep and studying the Bible and picking the Bible apart like we usually would, right? That's how I like to read the Bible now. I like to go deep and I like to study and I like to take my time and I like to make notes and I like to read my study Bible and get the context and all that stuff. But in these periods, I think it's okay to be realistic, right? And just to find those margin, those windows of time that you can carve out, that we can carve out to seek the Lord. So, even if that's 2 minutes, even if that's a couple of verses reading your Bible, even if that's not reading your Bible, even if that's like, okay, well, you know that you're somebody who likes to work out, right? And that's something that's important to you. Well, I'm going to leverage that time. I'm going to leverage the time to listen to worship music or to listen to a sermon or a preach. Finding those pockets of time. So in the best way that we can still seek the Lord, right? It's also really helped me to draw on 2 Corinthians 12, 9-10, which says, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." And there were certainly days over the last 2-3 weeks where, to be honest, I just didn't feel like I was doing a very good job. Like my content creation has kind of fallen off of a cliff a bit. Not necessarily on YouTube, but definitely on Instagram. I felt like I just felt like I wasn't pushing this project forwards. And up to this point, since I've launched, it's just been this excitement to drive this project forward. I've not felt like I've had the energy. I've not felt like I've had the time. And so I've kind of had to accept on days that, do you know what? This is out of my hands. When I am weak, then He is strong. My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. And so accepting, I think, that I am weak on certain days has really helped me. I've not tried to fight against it. I've just been able to say, okay, Lord, I'm going to have to trust you to bring in, the partnerships today. Because to be honest, I haven't made many inroads on those on specific days, right? I think I've also had to accept that the way that I approach some of the work that I'm doing might need to change, right? So I'm somebody who's quite creative. I enjoy being creative. But that might have to change in the context of content creation, for example. Now things are so busy, so many more sessions in the diary, clients who I want to do a really great job for and support and serve in amongst all of the chaos that I've described. And so maybe I have to accept that my social channels aren't going to look quite as polished, right? And to be honest, this is not something that I've necessarily implemented very well, but I've certainly spent a lot of time thinking about, in that it's going to be much more fruitful for me to accept that done is better than perfect. Again, this came up on one of our group coaching sessions. This one was yesterday, where one of my clients advised another one of my clients that done is better than perfect. And I kind of took that message and I think I'm probably going to run with it. So you'll probably be seeing some content in my social feeds that feels a bit more, mobile phone shots and a little less polished without the lights and so on and so forth, because that progress with what we have is very important, right? I think what's also helped me is recognizing that it's okay not to progress for a few weeks and instead to focus on all that the Lord has done. I don't know about you, but over my career, I've been very quick to become frustrated when I'm not progressing, when I'm not pushing forwards. When actually the antidote for that is some gratitude, just gratefulness for all that the Lord has done, and confidence and assurance in the things not yet seen. And I think that can provide us with, can put us in a place or a position of of rest. Like for me, I'm so grateful for how far the Lord has brought this project, for opening the doors to this project, for even birthing this project, because I really don't take credit for it. I feel like the Lord called me and I kind of resisted. That's a story for another day. But I think what's really helped me in amongst this is, rather than jump into frustration, it's been jumping to, okay, it is what it is, life happens, and Lord, maybe there's a reason for asking me just to hit pause at this moment in time. And I'm just going to be so grateful for those clients that you've brought in. I'm going to look to serve those guys with everything that I have in the sessions that we have available over these weeks. And if I can't do any more, then I can't do any more. Like, I'm still grateful and I'm still going to roll with it. It doesn't mean that I wasn't frustrated in moments. None of us are perfect. I fight against my flesh, whereby I like to be highly productive at all times. But that's certainly been a mindset that has helped me. Now, along with that, it's been a period of building momentum where I've been able to pick up new clients most weeks. This week there haven't been any new clients, any new partnerships. But look, where is my trust? Where is my security? And so I'm looking at this time as a bit of time to breathe and to say thank you for everything that the Lord has done. So listen, I don't even know if this helps. Part of my motivation, I'll be brutally honest, is that I've got a Christmas break coming up in the UK. We fly on Sunday in a couple of days, and I'm going to have 4 weeks away. Don't know if I'm going to get time to record any YouTube videos. So I'm going off I'm going off piste. I'm abandoning the scripted content because I want to get a few more videos out for you guys. And I thought I'd share some real life experiences that hopefully feel pretty relatable. As always, if this has added value, please like, subscribe, follow along for more content to encourage you in your walk as a Christian entrepreneur. And it's an absolute pleasure to be able to serve you.